door and this door as well, please, just so that we can maintain some sort of sanity in here. All right. Gotcha. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with our opening prayers, which will be Om Sahna Vavatu, Vakraturna Mahakaya, Saraswati Namastubhyam, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu. And then we will chant the first two verses of Sadhana Panchakam. We'll go slow. We'll do lead and repeat style for both and then chant it together as well. So we get some practice in. All right. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahano Bhunatu, Saha Viryam Karavava, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vakraturna Mahakaya Prabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. All right, so for verse 1, we'll do lead and repeat style. Vedo nityam adhiyatam Vedo nityam adhiyatam Tadudidam karma svanushthiyatam Tadudidam karma svanushthiyatam Tene shasya vidhiyatam Shasya vidhiyatam Apachitihi Kamye matistyajyatam Papogaf paridhuyatam Papogaf paridhuyatam Bhavasukhe Doshonusandhiyatam Doshonusandhiyatam Atmecha vyavasiyatam Atmecha vyavasiyatam Nijagrihat Turnam vinirgamyatam. We'll continue lead and repeat for the second verse, and then we'll come back and chant both verses together. So now for verse number 2. Sangat satsu vidhiyatam Bhagavato Bhaktir dridadhiyatam Shantyadif parichiyatam Dridataram Karmashu santyajyatam Sadvidvanupasripyatam. That's sripyatam. Sadvidvanupasripyatam. Pratidhinam Tatpaduka sevyatam. Tatpaduka sevyatam. Brahmaikaksharamarthyatam. Brahmaikaksharamarthyatam. Shrutishiro Vakyam samakarnyatam. So now let's chant verse 1 and 2 continuously. Vedo nityam adhiyatam tadudidam karma svanushtiyatam tene shasya vidhiyatam apachitihi kamye matistyajyatam papogaf paridhuyatam bhavasukhe doshonusandhiyatam Atmecha vyavasiyatam nijagrihat turnam vinirgamyatam sangat satsu vidhiyatam bhagavato bhaktir dridhadhiyatam shantyadif parichiyatam dridataram karmashu santyajyatam Sadvidvanupasripyatam pratidhinam tatpaduka sevyatam brahmaikaksharamardhyatam shrutishiro vakyam samakarnyatam. Okay, those are long lines. So, we had seen that the very first line is dedicated to the duties of Brahmacharya ashram. It's only one instruction. Vedo nityam adhiyatam. Make sure that we are well versed in what the Shastras tell us in how to live our life. Then the rest of verse number 1 told us what are all the duties of Grahastha ashrama. Whenever we look to, we commonly get this question, how am I supposed to know what my duties are when I'm living this life? I wish I could take sannyasi. Okay, please don't until you're ready. Why? Because we have to get ready through the steps that were defined here in that verse. May I know what are all those karmas that I must perform by studying well? May I perform it to perfection, based on where I am in life, the responsibilities that I have found myself in. I just put it in those words because sometimes we don't choose the responsibilities we get. Wherever I am, I will have a fair idea of what are all the responsibilities I have. May I perform those responsibilities in such a way that I grow within, I am able to grow out of my ego, and I am able to dedicate all that to Bhagwan himself. That purity of bhava behind any action I take up, may I practice it in this Grahastha ashrama. By consistently performing those actions in the attitude of karma yoga, I will then find myself really coming to question the world that's around me. This ego has its egocentric desires and therefore has subsequent attachments to the world because it is seeking certain results. We can categorize it all into one type of result we want. We want happiness. There's no other questions about it. But is the world the source of my happiness? Kind of a contrast to what we saw in today's assembly, is it not? That a Mahatma, a Jivan Mukta, is able to experience that Ananda regardless of circumstances. They may be insulted, they may be praised. Either way, it has no effect on them. In fact, there was one letter, I have to bring this, it just popped up into my head right now. Puja Gurudev, in one of his letters, somebody had written him a question saying, Puja Gurudev, what are you doing among samsaris? Go back to your kutia. Leave us to our sorrows here. You are a Mahatma. You go and stay in meditation in your kutiyas. Leave us alone. Why are you here? I was shocked to read that question. But he starts his letter by saying, I bow down to you. Please keep raising this black flag of criticism because it will help my ego keep in check. Puja Gurudev was saying that in his letter. That he continued to say, I abhor any praise that comes towards me because that will only aflame my ego. So a Mahatma who's showing us by example how we should behave in the world around. May I not get swept away by praise. May I hold dear the criticisms I get because it will always keep my ego in check. So may I perform my duties in such a way that I start seeing the real value of the world. It is not going to be the source of my happiness. That realization should really sink in as an experience. So the last line is Atmecha vyavasiyatam nijagrahat turnam vinirgamyatam. Upon realizing that this bhava sukha has all these doshas in it, it's not going to give me what I need. I want that one ultimate source, Atma Ichha. Therefore, I'm ready to give it up. This is when we mature into Vanaprastha. So we have to remember, Grihastha ashrama is not to fulfill desires, but to outgrow desires. That would be the successful experience of Grihastha ashrama. Verse 2 then starts with the duties of Vanaprastha. Sangaha satsu vidhiyatam. May I constantly associate myself with those that are noble. Noble here meaning those that have progressed in this path of sadhana. They have gained experience. May I tap into their experience and take that as inspiration to keep going. And by keeping that inspiration, what is the effort I'm putting in this ashrama of Varna ashrama? Bhagavato bhaktir dridha diyatam. Dridha. May my bhakti to Bhagavan become ever firm. And finally, we had seen, when that foundation of Shraddha is there, I can start adding the wealth that I need for Jnana Yoga. Shantyadif parichiyatam. Shanti adi. Or in Tattva Bodha, we see Shama Dhamma adi. Same reference here, not Shanti as Om Shanti Shanti. So let's not get confused with those two words. Shantyadif parichiyatam, Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, and Samadhana. It just so happens on this board, we have the same list in purple on the bottom. Shama, Dhamma, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, and Samadhana. So Shama is control of the mind. And Dhamma is control of the senses. Both are required to start controlling myself. Hadiji had a really good example yesterday for this. Which one is easier to control? The senses or the organs of actions and organs of perception, or the mind? Which one is easier? Okay, senses, good. But the best example is, hold your breath. Now let it all out. Breathe in. On an instant command, we can make it do things. Don't move your leg. Okay, it's hard, but I can do it. So there are many physical things that we can control very easily. But when I ask myself to control the mind, don't think about that pink elephant. Don't think about it wearing red heels. You can't not help but think about those things. So how is it that I'm supposed to control my mind? I tackle it in whichever direction is required. So japa becomes that important practice. Not japa, pranayama becomes that practice. Breath is easy to control. Breath is quickly associated with the mind, so may I tap into that. That would be Dhamma, using the senses to control the mind. Okay, I'm angry. This is where my breath is. But I say, okay, calm down. When I tell myself to breathe slower, it automatically slows my mind down, and therefore I can do something about the emotions that's causing that problem in the first place. But at the same time, there are moments where I can't lose my cool in front of my kids. I gotta stay calm, collected, and professional so that we don't disturb that environment. So I said, okay, I'm fine, I'm cool, I'm samatvam. What do you need? Okay, we'll go get this done. But inside, what's happening? Oh, these kids never do what I tell them to do. We're in this problem because I told them 2 days ago, get your stuff together. We have this. Okay, so I don't need to explain that anymore. But it shows that in any moment where we're trying to control ourselves, there is an input and output. Both directions have to be brought under steadiness. Whether I take my senses, force it to be under my command of my mind, or I take my mind and say, dude, calm down, and let the senses naturally control itself, both have to be worked on. So Shama Dhamma is like two sides of the same coin. Once that is achieved, Uparati is when we have a sense of quietness. And the best example I saw was like a dog that has learned to be trained well. You've got the crazy dog, the puppy energy in the beginning where you have to constantly keep tugging the leash to get it to understand what it needs to do. But once the dog has learned what to do, does it not remain in steady control? If you're on a walk and finally the dog has stopped tugging at the leash, what will it do? Naturally stay by your side and the leash will be at rest. This is the culmination of Shama and Dhamma. Uparati is that steadiness, that its natural default is at rest, ready to receive commands when and where it's required. This is Uparati. Then with that comes Titiksha. What I find really interesting in comparing it with today's verse, a Jivan Mukta is someone who has already realized that state. He is already beyond his ego and mind and is Samatvam. And Samatvam is defined by being unaffected by the pairs of opposites, praise or insult, hot or cold, they're unaffected by it. And yet here, the next one is Titiksha. And how would we define Titiksha? It is a forbearance in both pairs of opposites. So you mean that, hang on, there's a connection right here. Titiksha for a student trying to achieve that state, and Samadhana by the one who has achieved that state. A very interesting comparison here. Is it not one and the same thing? It's not. The Mahatma always acts as an example for us. He is teaching us how to have Titiksha. And Titiksha naturally expresses itself upon realization as Samadhana. But the reason why is the difference. In Titiksha, I feel I am this ego that is constantly getting pushed and pulled, therefore I'm trying to control and hold. Whereas the Jivan Mukta is beyond the ego. He's neither pulled nor pushed. There is no forces around him. His natural state is just to be Samatvam. So he sets the example. So now we get to tell our ego, look at what these Mahatmas can do. Can't you be like them? So it's a sadhana here where we start to learn that Samatvam through Titiksha. And the most important word, English word I use to associate with Titiksha is patience. Patience is the most important word when it comes to Titiksha, because patience gives that bhava of, I am okay right where the situation puts me in. I have no urgency to get out of this. That sense of urgency comes from that ego. Oh, I can't bear this pain. I can't bear the cold. I can't bear the heat. I can't bear that someone is insulting me. I can't bear that there's so much attention coming to me. All pairs of opposites, the ego wants to run. Patience is, I will not run. I will be right here. I will wait. You take your time. I'm not going anywhere. So we turn the narrative on itself, saying that I have enough strength and stability within that I can wait this out. Patience is also when there is a calmness, a steadiness, and a source of joy still. Puja Gurudev had said, to bear things with a smile on our face. Not the fake smile. Yes, I am not affected by anything. I have all the patience in the world. Not that kind of smile. But a genuine, it's okay. I know things will be crazy. I know things are going wrong. But it will sort itself out. This is my sadhana. This is my opportunity of growth. I am enjoying this process. That brings so much more depth to forbearance. We're not gritting our way through it, but we are growing through it. So it's like that flower that blossoms. Forbearance is that patience to bear through all the pinpricks of life. And no matter what problem comes, I know that this has come to me as a learning moment, and I shall grow through it. Why should I be bothered to run away from this moment? This would be the bhava behind Titiksha. Shraddha. Shraddha is not blind faith. Okay, my guru has said it, the Shastra has said it. I don't even understand what they told me, but I say, no, I believe you. That's not the bhava that even Shastras ask us. Pariprashnena sevayam. In Bhagavad Gita, the best seva we can do to the Guru is ask questions. meaning, may my intellect come to appreciate what the Shastras is guiding us through. I have enough awareness that there is proof behind what the Shastras have said because a Mahatma exists. There are so many Jivan Muktas that seem otherworldly. Why is it that they're like this? How are they able to bear world? I see them. There are so many examples, and we are lucky enough to have Puja Gurudev be that close example of, here's a living Jivan Muktaha. This is proof that the Shastras will lead us to that state. I will sit and understand hows, whys, the nuts and bolts of sadhanas. I will apply my mind and I will ask all the questions in the world because I want clarity. But my shraddha is, this is my source and it will give me what it promises. I think we were looking, the reason I wasn't here last week was because I went to Chicago for a women's seeker camp. And Brahmacharya Shubhaniji, along with many writers, had written a book called Women's Seeker, where there are 18 Devis that are described. Devis meaning women, saints, sages, rishis, and leaders within Sanatana Dharma. That was a wonderful experience for me to learn that there's so many examples within Sanatana Dharma. One who stood out to me was Gargi Devi. And ironically, during YEP course, the Youth Empowerment Program, Swamiji had a tendency to give everybody a nickname during the course. Mine happened to be Gargi. And I said, who is Gargi and why? Gargi is one of the great Rishikas who is a realized master and a teacher of the Upanishads. The way she gained that status was by asking 100 million questions. And who was asking a lot of questions during YEP? This one. So that was a nickname I got. But that also comes back to this point. Pariprashnena sevayam. The only way I'm going to know what the Shastras has to give me is to ask questions. And I ask questions because I trust that that place is what's going to give me answers. So Shraddha here is not blind faith, and it's not an intellectual challenge either. It is a perfect balance between the two. I trust that I have yet to completely understand what you have to offer. That is my faith. But my loyalty is that I shall always ask questions and come to find out what you have to offer. I will apply myself. That is the whole-rounded, holistic approach of Shraddha. Now with my senses, my mind, well under control and at rest, Shama Dhamma Uparati, I am able to bear through all the dualities of life through Titiksha, because my faith and understanding is what the guidance of Shastras are telling me, Shraddha. All of this put together, Samadhana is that ultimate state that we gain as the qualification at the end of Vanaprastha. Samadhana, samatvam, it is also a mental concentration. One of the things that Puja Gurudev tells in his introductory books is, when we have an extroverted mind, running through the senses, trying to grab all the situations in the world to make myself happy, so much energy gets wasted. And I think last time I spoke on this topic, we talked about, what is our energy levels like at the end of a vacation? Vacation represents complete extrovertedness. I don't care about responsibilities. I'm putting all that aside. I want to just enjoy. But when I come back from vacation, I am exhausted. Whereas if we were to find moments within our day where we've contributed to society, we've given help, we've volunteered, we've served our family, we've served our children, in those moments, don't we at night have the most peaceful rest? I can put my head to that pillow with complete contentment. That seems to have more energy than after an end of a vacation. This is the nature that Puja Gurudev indicates. Extrovertedness leaks so much energy we can't even imagine it. We don't even realize how much energy we're expending. When we're able to follow these qualifications of self-control, forbearance, and Shraddha in the Shastras, we gather so much energy that We ourselves don't know, how is it I'm still awake and I've done so much today? But if I kept that energy within and did nothing about it, it would explode at some point. I have to learn to redirect that energy to the sadhanas that will uplift me. This is the state of samadhana. I have concentrated that energy within, this samatvam that is within, this concentrated, poised, potential energy I've gathered. May I then direct it to the higher so that my kinetic energy can make me soar into the highest heights of perfection. So this is the wealth we have to gain in vanaprastha. Vanaprastha is not retirement. Let us throw that notion out the window. It is not to return back to the realm of enjoyment. Let us throw that notion out the window. Vanaprastha is, I have absolute clarity that the world will not give me what I want. Atma Ichha is the only way. May I gather the self-control, the application of my mind, the shraddha in this path, that I may have enough energy to start climbing the ladder to perfection. This is the sankalpa we gain at the end of vanaprastha. So, bhagavato bhaktir dridadhiyatam shantyadif parichiyatam dridataram karmashu santyajyatam. So even at the end of vanaprastha, I finally give up the last little bits of responsibility I have. Karmashu santyajyatam. The beginning of sannyasa ashrama begins in the second, the halfway point of verse number 2. It starts with Sadvidvan upasripyatam. Sadvidvan. So may I come to surrender onto that Mahatma who is the knowledge, who has the knowledge of Sat, that experience itself. And here there's a very specific definition we have to think about. We use the word guru to apply to most cases wherever someone has given us some lesson to have learned. Oh, he's the guru of music. He's the guru of project management. Wherever the opportunity comes where we appreciate. I've learned something from this person. We do our greatest pranams and say, you're my guru. But of course, that respect is appreciated, but the word guru is very specific in definition here. He is someone who is Brahmanishta and Shrotriya. 2 words. Shrotriya, Brahmanishta. Shrotriya means someone who has understood the Shastras in its explanation. Brahmanishta means Nishtha, the being established in the experience of Brahman. Both of these are required as a qualification of a true guru in terms of Shastras. Now, why is this important? And here, it's related to this word, Sat Vidvan, the one who knows Sat. He has a direct experience of that reality, Brahmanishta. But he also has the capacity to transmit that experience through the medium of words. Transmit that experience through the medium of words. It kind of reminds me of college professors. It's a hit or miss with them sometimes. Some of these college professors are great teachers. They will have worksheets and homeworks and quizzes, and they keep telling us, this is for your own good. Wait till that final exam comes. I want you to be prepared. They will bend over backwards to make sure that we put in our appropriate efforts and we become great students and pass the class. Those are great college professors. But then there's the other batch. They're amazing researchers. There's a reason why the college hired them. They are great in their field. And they absolutely suck at teaching. They are so lost in the heights of their field that we're like, hello, we're down here. What do you mean? And they get lost in that. So that's why we need teachers that have both. I can't walk into a college classroom and say, I know mechanical engineering. I can't even do math. I can't not have that experience of engineering and be justified to be in front of that class. Brahmanishta is a must, and it is the foremost requirement for a guru. They have to have that experience of that reality, because other than that, what are they going to teach? More stuff about samsara. I'm an expert in that. Don't worry about it. So Brahmanishta becomes the first requirement. But at the same time, they need to be able to communicate to us who is in this samsara, who only deal with names, forms, and vocabulary through the medium of words. They need to be able to transmit that experience through that medium. So teaching is a skill acquired by love of the student, love of the knowledge, and love for the transformation and handling of the questions and doubts by the student. It's a whole other skill set that a guru needs to have. So knowing how to present that knowledge is also known as Upanishad. The Vedas, the Shrutis, are trying to express that experience through words. The guru has to know what the Upanishads are saying so that they can also help communicate that as well. So presentation of that experience is called Upanishad. Brahmanishta, the one who is established in Brahman, therefore has a personal experience of that supreme reality. This ability to present this Upanishadic knowledge, they have to have love and compassion, faculty of presentation. One who has thorough knowledge of the Upanishadic wisdom is therefore called as Shrotriyas, the one who knows the Shrutis. They will have to have both. They also have to have the capacity to understand the variations within the student's mind. Well, some require heavy logic. No, prove to me all the nuances in this statement that you're telling me, then I'll come to understand. There are other students that saying, but Guru, I don't understand all this intellectual stuff. Speak to me in a different way. I connect more emotionally. There are some, so the examples that come to my mind when it comes to Bhakti Marga, who have also realized, is gopis. Their love for Bhagavan was so great that it took them to Jnana Yoga. They did identify with that supreme reality, and the only way they could express their experience is through that bhakti. Bhagavan Krishna, this was the loving dialogue between Uddhavji and the gopis when he came back to visit the village. Because Bhagavan Krishna, Uddhavji had questioned Bhagavan Krishna. How is it that all of these Mahatmas are around you and yet you keep remembering the gopis? What's so great about them? He's like, there are no words to explain what these gopis are like. I cannot explain to you. This is Bhagavan saying he can't explain. He's saying, Uddhavji, you go and you meet them. You spend time with them. And Uddhavji happens to look like Bhagavan Krishna. He has the same figure, the same darkness of hue. So when he was driving into the village on that chariot, the silhouette, imagine like a movie scene, right? The sunset is behind, there's a silhouette of a figure, and the gopis are at the end of the village looking. They were excited. Bhagavan Krishna is here. Oh my gosh, he's returned back to us. And they were doom-dam. They brought out all the flowers. They forgot the pot of milk on the stove. They all came rushed to the edge of the village. And when he got closer and closer, they all got disappointed. Yo, this is just Uddhavji. What happened to Bhagavan Krishna? In fact, they got so mad that one of the gopis, she looked at this bee that was hovering around the garland that Uddhavji was wearing. And she started yelling at that bee. Oh, Brahmara, how dare you tease me by hanging around the flower and the garland that can be on Bhagavan Krishna. You're making me jealous because you get to spend so much time. What is she doing? She's yelling at Uddhavji because he is the bee that gets to hang around Bhagavan Krishna. So this comes through Brahmara Gita. This is in Bhagavatam. So their mind is so soaked up that even a bee reminds them, makes them jealous that they can't be next to Bhagavan. Uddhavji said, please don't be mad at me. In fact, the way to join, it's not just through bhakti, you need Jnana Yoga. So he spent a couple months trying to teach them Jnana Yoga. He said, gopis, you need to learn to be samatvam. You need to be able to sit in the seat of meditation and let go of the mind to then be able to realize that highest state. The gopis, I can just imagine they put their sari in their sari and be like, what mind? The day Bhagavan Krishna left, my mind ran away with him. Tell me with what mind am I supposed to meditate on Bhagavan Krishna? The most profound truth. Through their bhakti, they were able to find that reality because they have let go of their mind, they have let go of their identity. Isn't that what Jnana Yoga is all about? Through their bhakti, they were able to find that reality. Whereas you have, Devis like Gargi Maitreyi, who had Gargi and Maitreyi, who had to sit down with the Guru and ask a whole bunch of questions and ask for logic to then come to realize that jnana. And each one had their own Guru. That is why if you look at any of our Puranas, Itihasas, Shastras, time and time again, Bhagavan will come in all sorts of forms of Gurus. Kapila Gita, he came as a son who was the Guru of his own mother. Then you have Dattatreya, who is the Guru of all by letting go of everything. He was Digambara, walking around anywhere, and he said, look at all the realization I can find through water, through air, through fire, through birds. This is our third grade syllabus? Third grade syllabus. Guru comes in amazing forms because they come through two qualifications. Shrotriya, Brahma, Nishtha. Now, when such a Guru is around us, Sadvidvan upasripyatam, surrender to that master. Surrender. May I never have the audacity to ask for what I need. Who the heck am I to know what I need? When someone is in that highest state, he knows what's best for me. All I can do is, may I surrender. And when I was thinking about this, I thought about Guru-Shishya relationship. When an instruction is being given, there are a lot of problems that happen in the Shishya's mind. One is, when the instruction is given, the understanding is not there. Don't take praise. Do not get swept away by praise. Why not? What do you mean? What's the problem with it? Suddenly we start having arguments against that instruction because we don't understand the ramifications of it. Or, you are not that ego. You are not the BMI. I don't know what you mean. I've always been this BMI. What do you mean I'm not the BMI? There's no level of understanding when an instruction is being given. Worst of all, the ego, meaning the pride, is also still there. What do you mean I have to wash the cows and clean up the dung and take care of the cowshed? I came here to learn. What do you mean I have to go do seva in the cowshed? The ego and pride comes up. So even there's a story in Bhagavatam, I think, and Devata Indra and a Rakshasa also. Both of them came to the Guru and said, please teach me that highest reality. The Guru said, I may or may not give you the answer, but what I need you to do is stay here in this ashram for 12 years. After that, I may or may not give you give the answer. If that was the kind of deal in school, I don't think my parents would have signed me up. I go to college, I only have to do work, and they may or may not give me a degree at the end. That's not worth it. But in this highest knowledge, that is worth it. Because it is in those 12 years that my ego has to surrender. How many times does it throw up justifications, throw up arguments, because it's fighting for its own existence. When we say surrender the ego, that means nullify it. Don't be this individuality. That ego will fight to its death. So it takes a long time. May I learn to surrender to that master. The goal here is to become open and receptive to that guru. When that ego is still there, it makes us rocks. When water is being poured on a rock, it just rolls right off. But when we spend that time to do seva and surrender to the Guru, the mind itself becomes absorbent, like a sponge or the soil, so that when something is given, it is automatically accepted. That acceptance is the biggest thing when it comes to surrender and a relationship with a Guru and Shishya. We also hear that there is someone who is a Jagat Guru. Jagat Guru. That is not out of arrogance. The teacher doesn't walk around saying, I am fit to guide the entire world. I am that Jagat Guru. In fact, it is not the Guru for the world. It is the Guru. Sorry, I have to flip that around. I give away the punchline. Jagat Guru is not the guru of the world, meaning he's on a higher stance teaching those. He is the guru for the world. He is the guru that is serving all of those that are within to uplift them out of samsara. So Jagat Guru has that bhava behind it. Bhagwan then ensures that we get the right teacher to ensure the right problem. Because a lot of times I don't have a guru. I always have a chip under my, or a trick up my sleeve saying, no one in Chinmay Mission can say we don't have a guru. We do. Puja Gurudev has been so gracious to become that guru, I don't need to go shopping. But let's say more broadly, I don't need to go shopping for a guru. Guru will come to me. Bhagwan knows us inside and out, knows us when we have become receptive to knowledge, and in what form should that knowledge be given to us. Bhagwan will put the guru in our path. We don't need to do anything. All we have to do is work on those 6 things. May I become more and more qualified. May my ego be more and more ready to surrender to whoever comes in my way that will show me that highest path. Have I made myself that ready? After that, Bhagwan will take care of. Sometimes with all of these books and videos around, we may have the opposite question. I don't need a guru. I got everything I need. I'm self-taught. That's actually praised in today's day and age. You brought yourself up by your own bootstraps. That's praised. So in the same way, why not the highest? I can bring myself up to the highest. Well, even that is the ego standing up saying, me, myself, and I. Through my own means, through even horrible means as Google, and I have enough questions from chicks saying, I chat GPT'd this question, this is the answer that came to me. And where's chat GPT's answers coming from? Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a cesspool of misinformation. I use that word specifically because I have come to find out that there is narratives built into Wikipedia as well. There are lots of narratives. We can have a conversation separately about this, but I have now a huge red flag when it comes to sourcing Wikipedia for any Hindu representation or Hindu concepts. ChatGPT draws information from there, so that to me is also false information. And I myself have tested this out, and I get very whitewashed answers for any Hindu questions I ask for ChatGPT. They cannot be the source of the highest knowledge. Shrotriya Brahmanishta. Is Google or the internet Brahmanishta? Does it have proper knowledge of Upanishad? Therefore I shall reject it. That can't be my source. And Google and internet and ChatGPT doesn't know what I'm like, doesn't know what I need. Just because I ask questions doesn't mean I'm asking the right questions. So I need a guru regardless. Now, to push it one step further, my mistrust for any source whatsoever when it comes to the search of knowledge, we tend to rely on English translations that are based off of Max Mueller. That is our biggest source when it comes to Western translations of Shastras. In fact, when we look at Max Mueller's history, he was actually not educated. We think he's a great scholar that came out of Europe and came to India to understand our culture and then gave us translations. If you look into his history, he dropped out of school. He had nothing else to do and came to India, and he dabbled in Vyakarana. Vyakarana is the grammar and linguistics of Sanskritam. He dabbled in it but did not have thorough education in it. After his superficial investigation of our Shastras, he himself said, the Vedas and Upanishads are, quote, prattlings of the human beings in their early infancy. Excuse me? We have millions of years worth of knowledge that is able to analyze every field of the world outside in Jyotisha Shastra, Niti Shastra, so on and so forth. Have 16 itihasas, Puranas, Vedas that can talk about the world and that supreme reality, be able to answer questions even science can't answer. And what is this comment? Prattlings of human beings in their early infancy. How dare you? So I will be very hesitant in looking at any translations that sources German investigations who have based their works off of Max Muller. May I equip myself with proper understanding and education. May I learn to tap into Shastras in its original form. May I take the time to learn Sanskritam. May I do it well. I still have this thought that there's this one village in India that speaks only Sanskritam as their language. It is on my wish list to go there, live there, so that I may be better with Sanskritam. Even I feel ashamed of how little I've learned, and I'm struggling and trying, but may that guilt in not knowing keep me driven to keep being in touch with my Shastras. So he didn't get a teacher. Teacher doesn't just require information, but he creates that environment for transformation. He is there to crack the ego. Never think that a nice guru is the best guru. There are two reasons why they could be nice. They either pamper us too much, or they further us quite a bit. There's a nuance between them. Guru, I don't want to do seva. Okay, sleep in. Be warned, that's not a guru. Swami Sarveshanji had an interesting Hindi phrase for defining guru. Guru. Hamesha gurrate hai. The one who constantly keeps nagging at us. Or I like to translate the word, grilling us. It still has that gr in there. The one who constantly grills at us. Why? Because he is putting in the effort that we may become polished and uplifted. And the example is creating that statue out of stone. Stone is a dense block that doesn't even know its own true form. We don't even know what's within us. We are that dumb, dull brick of a rock. A guru comes and sees that and sees great potential within. What does he do? First, he takes the hammer and he chips away, hammers away at the biggest obstacle that prevents us from seeing ourselves. Whether it is our attachments to Vitteshna, Lokeshna, Putreshna, those desires. He tackles that right away. As we reform and grow, it gets harder. Why? Because he puts away the hammer, now takes out the chisel and hammer. He gets into the fine-tuning of that. The worst stage, the sandpaper. Really, really polishing. You thought you were in a good shape, and he pulls out the sandpaper. So, Hamesha gurrate hai, because he is bringing out that statue within us, that idol within us, that murti within us, so that we may find that greatness within. This is what a guru does. No book, no internet search can do this for us. And we dare not go shopping for one. We are that dumb block. We don't know which sculptor we need. The sculptor comes and finds the rock, not the other way around. So, Bhagwan knows what we need, and he will send us where we need to be. So again, as we wrap up in this section, man, when it comes to guru, we can spend like all day, weeks on this subject. I thought I'd get further, but it's okay. That surrender, that bhakti to guru may uplift us into that highest realms. So the beginning of sannyasa ashrama is sadvidvan upasripyatam pratidinam tatpadaka sevyatam. Pratidinam, every day, may I offer my salutations and surrender to the padukas of that guru. Why do we do namaskara to the feet? Because we are not respecting, we're not just trying to become lowly and saying, oh, Guru, I'm so small, you're so great. No, I am surrendering to that upon which he stands. Brahma Nishta Shrotriya. He stands upon his own experience in that reality, and he stands upon the knowledge of the Shrutis. To that I do pranams. To the sandals that we treat as garbage, that we leave outside so that the place may not be dirty, the very dirt on the sandal of the Guru is worthy of being worshipped because of where it stands. Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nijamana Mukara Sudhari. May I take the dust from the lotus feet of that Guru and wipe the mirror of my mind with that dust. Pratidinam tat paduka sevyatam. Once I have truly surrendered, what will be the content of our relationship? Brahmaikakshara martyatam. Shruti Shiro Vakyam Samakarnyatam. So beware next week when we tackle that next line, we will go into the deep end of what is that supreme reality? What is that Brahma? What is that Aikya? What is that Shruti? And what is the Vakyam that is being given? So we will head into the depths of Jnana Yoga in next week's class. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity. We shall see you next week. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo